All right, Sidney Bernstein. Here's another name we've seen before. Sidney Norman Bernstein. He was born in 1911 on July 13th in New York. He passed away January 30th, 1992. And you may or may not have seen his book that he published in 1977. It was a collection of his own games. It's entitled Combat, My 50 Years at the Chessboard. Bernstein opens with e4, so we have another Sicilian defense. Knight f3, d6, d4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, an open Sicilian. Knight f6, knight c3, pawn a6, Najdorf's variation, no surprise. Bishop g5, we saw this opening earlier in the evening against another opponent. e6, f4, this exact opening, in fact. Bishop e7, queen f3, queen's knight to d7, queenside castles. Nothing new so far. This is queen c7, and g4 is the main line, so this is different from the earlier game. Now b5. Now bishop g2 was played. White should stick to the book, which is indicated here with the green arrow. Bishop takes the knight. That's actually a book move. I don't know why the book icon doesn't appear here. It should. We're going to manually assign it. And that's answered by knight takes. And g5 chases the knight back to d7. Pawn f5. Bishop takes pawn check. King b1. Knight e5 is played here, hitting the queen. Queen h5, hitting the bishop. Queen d8, defending the bishop. And that is your main line, Najdorf's variation. Let's go back. No, I am an international grand patzer. Bishop g2 here. Bobby with bishop b7. King's rook to e1. Yeah, bishop takes knight is going to work here as well, just like in the other line. It's really the same thing. It's just different. You get g5. Probably bishop takes knight here is best, even though it helps the opponent invade. But Bernstein with his king's rook to e1. b4 hits the knight. Knight to d5. We saw this same idea earlier today. The point is, if you open this line, you're asking for trouble. Well, Bobby said, I'm going to open that line anyway and invite trouble. Of course, White's hope is to get knight f5, super attacking the pinned bishop. But keep in mind, it's okay to give back some material because you just got a knight for a pawn. So king f8, though, breaks the pin immediately, and he now plays knight f5. Now, note, we want to show again, this is not the same exact position that we saw earlier, but it's similar. Do not play rook takes the bishop here either. On rook takes bishop, king takes rook, bishop takes knight check. We have knight takes the bishop, and what do you really have to show for that rook takes bishop? Now, to me, knight c6 would be interesting here instead of knight f5, because that does apply the same. It gives me an inaccuracy. Probably rook e8 to defend. Boy, I've gotten two in a row wrong. Okay, well, one thing's for sure, you do not play rook takes rook here. Same as before. We got enough defenders here, all right? So probably bishop takes. Got a star at last. Bishop takes, and it's interesting that bishop takes is probably fine, but this is one of those weird cases again where, just like in the first game, you'll see pawn takes. Something like this. Do not play knight takes here either. Same reason. Same as before. All right. Anyway, I'm just curious about that. He played knight f5. Bobby does play rook e8 and gets the big red X, the bot saying, hey, just scooch your bishop to d8. Yeah, on bishop d8, and now if bishop takes, I can knight takes, right? So you don't want to go for this cheapo. Let's be clear on that. Queen e2 defends and battery attacks. So that could be catastrophic. Then we have the bishop takes, knight takes, g5, and you got trouble. Rook e8, queen e3. Yeah, this is showing bishop h4, but I want to point out that bishop takes knight should always be good. It should always be fine here because the pawn's coming behind it. Queen e3 was played. Now bishop d8 and queen d4. And how about queen d2? Shouldn't that be pretty much the same thing? Apparently not. Thought it was the same thing, just different. Here, bishop c8 was played. Yeah, you know what? Rook takes rook seems strong here. We'll get an exclam for that. And then we can play queen c5. Let's come back. Bishop c8 by Bobby. Bishop to h4. Yeah, rook takes rook is probably best here. Knight takes, bishop takes, then queen takes. Something like this. Thank you. T.O. Hem 1, subbing with Prime for the 5th time. You too can sub with Prime if you'll go to Amazon.com as an Amazon Prime member, and at no extra cost. You can sign up for Prime Gaming. Just type Prime Gaming into your search bar over at Amazon.com. Follow the on-screen instructions, and with your Prime Gaming membership, you can sub to the Twitch channel of your choice once each and every month. And since there's no channel like this channel anywhere near this channel, this must be the channel. Amazon Prime, Prime Gaming. Thank you, T.O. Hen. All right, coming back, bishop h4 was played by Bernstein, knight c5. And right, rook takes rook is still on the table. Difference is now the bishop can take here. You play rook takes rook, bishop takes rook. You play a5, black is winning. Knight c5. Knight takes g7 right here. King takes knight. Now g5 attacking the pinned knight. Don't forget, white has already sacked a knight earlier. So these strong attacks are not as strong as they may appear. Bishop f5. Pawn takes the knight with check. This is quite a move here. It gets an exclam, and it's really the only winning move. Because king f8, and then rook takes rook. And if king g6, queen f2, and you're busted. So it's such a subtle move and the only winning move. And by the way, I should have pointed this out a lot earlier. Notice this piece relationship, which means that this is nearly pinned. We're already aiming at it with our bishop, and our knight is ready to come in and fork the king and the queen, because this is only covered over here, but more important is not the fork of the king and the queen, but the checkmate threat from the queen on the magic square, which means that this move, even though it seems defended, still wins. So for that reason, queen c4 was played, and knight d7. The bot not really fond of this move, but once again, Bobby's showing his prowess in simplification. Bernstein does accept this trade. To me, bishop g5 seems like it might be worth a try, might be a better hope to defend, although I'm told here by the bot that I'm wrong. Well, here king g6 would have to be played, maybe queen b3, and then we would trade rooks and something like so. And black is still looking Jim Dandy here. Bernstein trades queens, and it seems to me as long as Bobby plays carefully, it should just be a matter of time. Bishop f3 was played here, rook e7 being called for. Bishop d8 puts the kibosh on any rook e7 ideas. Now bishop g5 check was played, only one legal move. Rook g1 now, white doing his dead level best to get something engineered. Bishop takes f6, what a move that is. Well, bishop h4 check, and Bobby just pointing out, hey, I still have material to give back after your sacrifices. King h6, bishop takes bishop, knight takes bishop, rook g5, bishop e4, again looking to simplify, rook f1, bishop g6, surprising that he didn't go forward with the simplification here. I would have expected him to continue on that vein, but as usual, Bobby coming up with the precise moves. Rook fg1, rook e3, what a move. Bishop d1, Knight e4. He doesn't care about this pawn. It's a nothing burger. It's got no support. So rook 5 to g4. I guess not. Oh, I misread my notes. It was rook 5 to g2. f5, bishop e2, a5, h4, rook h3. h5, bishop takes, bishop d3, bishop back to g6, rook to f1, rook to f8, king to d1, knight to f6, rook to e1, knight takes d5, rook to f2, rook to e3, rook to g1, rook e7, very patient, king d2, king g7, rook f3. And you see the crown come up. This was probably a sealed move, I would guess, because white resigned the game. Typically, you don't make a move and resign unless that move was a sealed move, and then instead of going to the board for resumption, you simply resign. The game doesn't continue. So I'm assuming it was a sealed move. But if the game had continued, Bobby would no doubt just get out of this rook's line of fire. Okay, one way or the other. And it's really just a matter of time and patience. Let's say rook f2, reposition here. Let's say rook h2. I'm going to go rook g7, get a thumbs up. I'm not getting any stars, but he'd have to double, wouldn't he? But I would double. Okay. Anyway, you guys get the point. A piece up, a piece and a pawn up, just a matter of time.